You're listening to Starting Over with Patti Handy, Senior Mortgage Advisor with American Family Funding. Patti's show will focus on healing, inspiring, and empowering anyone going through a divorce or a loss of a spouse. They're talking about everything from money and managing finances, legal issues, emotional healing, physical well-being, and so much more.
I'll be the last one standing.
Hi, and welcome to Starting Over. I'm your host, Patti Handy. Thank you for joining us. So happy that you're here. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. You can also watch us on Facebook Live. Go to the KHTS page on Facebook Live. Send in your questions there if you'd like to. You can also download the app at KHTS and listen live anywhere in the world. Starting in June, we are now on twice a month from 2 to 3. We changed, and thanks to my sponsors who I have in today. I'll share more about them in a minute, but thank you to them. I can now be on twice a month, so very exciting. If you've missed any episodes in the past, you can go to startingoverwithpatti.com and listen into past episodes. There's also a resource there for you, 6 Steps to Financial Healing After Divorce. You can download that for free. So what's starting over and why did I do this? Basically, I have been through a divorce myself, and I understand the challenges and the emotional craziness and dark times that happens. And I want to bring that the vision is to bring you through brokenness to brilliance, whether it's financially, physically, emotionally. I want to help and inspire you to become happy and deal with the overwhelm. So what I do is I bring in various guest speakers. We deal with finances, we deal with emotional healing, physical healing, and it's really to bring you back to empowerment and to a place of peace. So a little bit about my story really quick. I went through a divorce many years ago. It was a situation where I was somewhat surprised. My son was 18 months old at the time, and I was unemployed at the time because I left the corporate banking world to raise him. And I was scared, I was shocked, I was overwhelmed. It was a very dark time for me. And I remember very vividly laying on the floor thinking to myself, and I was crying. I mean, it was a crazy cry. I think I've shared this with you, Ben. Thinking, you know what, I'm going to be okay, because I had a sense of peace knowing that with the financial knowledge that I knew that my parents taught me at a very young age, that I was going to be okay. And even though emotions were crazy and just the unknown was crazy, there was a sense of peace knowing I could take care of myself financially. I knew how to make money, manage it, invest it. And that's part of what I want to do here. I want to bring that same sense of peace to you, knowing that if in fact this is happening, that you have the tools and the resources, and I want to be that tool and resource for you. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to write in via Facebook, or you can reach out to me privately, and I can help answer questions as well. So let me introduce my guests today. I'm very excited. Again, thanks to Ben Witters and Jim Murphy of Sheaf Brock Investment Advisors. They are sponsoring me for my second show of the month. So thank you. I appreciate that very much. You are both intelligent men I respect greatly, and Ben, I've known you a long time, and so I want to have your brilliance and intelligence helping my listeners with financial wisdom. So let us start with Sheaf Brock. What do you do? Tell us about Sheaf Brock, and you want to talk a little bit closer to this.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Sure.
Jim, you want to answer that?
I'd be happy to. First of all, Patti, congratulations on 2 times a month.
Thank you.
On the radio show. Certainly our pleasure to be a sponsor of that. And I'm happy to be on the radio. Everyone has always told me that I have a voice for radio and a face to match. So I don't
You
know
do.
If that's,
You do have a face
I don't
to
know
match.
if that's good or bad, but we're certainly happy to be here, and congratulations with that.
Thank you.
Sheaf Brock, who are we? We are a independent investment management firm. What has focused on building innovative portfolios for clients. We work with a number of investors as well as independent advisors in managing their portfolios. We have a wide range of investments that we manage that can be a standalone strategy or portfolio for clients, but we can also be used to complement existing diversified portfolios that clients may have out there. We have a pretty rich history of managing money. We've been in business for about the last 17 years. We started in 2001. Our 2 founders, Ron Brock and Dave Gilreath, both felt back in 2001 when they started the firm that there was a better way. And the better way was to look toward innovative type investments that can ultimately enhance the risk-adjusted performance of overall portfolios. To date, we manage just about a little over $1.2 billion.
Wow.
Investors from all around the country, as well as advisors, work with us. We've got 29 employees. We're based out of Indianapolis. I happen to live in Scottsdale, so it's nice to be here in Southern California where it's nice and cool,
Nice.
coming from the 108 degrees I just left. And then we've got a number of folks like Ben. Ben works out here and is our regional vice president in Southern California, covers a lot of the Southwest. And then we have advisors up in Northern California as well, the East Coast, in the central area of the United States, as well as in Texas. So we're national in scope, advisors around the country, and love what we do. So can't wait to share a little bit more about some of our stories and how we're working with advisors and what Ben does out here.
Fantastic. And yeah, Ben Witters, you're the vice president
Yes.
of Sheeprock, and Jeff Murphy, you're the managing director with 30 years industry experience,
Yep.
certified financial planner, and you are responsible for the direction of this firm. So very exciting.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for both of you for being here. So Ben, tell us about you. I know you're very active in the community. You're a father, husband. Tell us about you personally.
Yeah, well, no. To echo off what Jim said, thank you very much for taking the time to allow us to be here and be a sponsor for your show. And we go back, and
course.
it's just a great opportunity to see you continue to grow. And
Yeah,
a little
thank
bit
you.
about myself. I've been in the industry for over 15 years. I'm married. My wife and I, Deborah, we just celebrated our 19th year of anniversary of marriage. And
Congratulations.
it goes by fast. We're 4 kids later. My daughter, 14, Emily, Matthew, 12, Andrew, 10, and Nathan, 6.
Wow.
And it was just interesting. My wife and I, we were just talking last night, and we just remembered just bringing home our daughter from the hospital and buckling her in the car seat, all nervous, and now you're transitioning her into high school, and it goes in a blink of an eye.
It does.
It's exciting, and as my wife always just has to remind me to remember that there's beauty in the chaos, and just to remember that. And then when I'm not inside of a meeting or a conference call with clients, prospects, you'll find me out in the baseball field. One of my passions in life is developing young baseball players, both at the youth level and at the college level. I was just telling Jim, my last 3 years, I've had the opportunity to participate and to be on the coaching staff of a local here at Hart Pony League, to be able to take kids to the World Series 3 years in a row.
That is
And
so cool.
It's just a fun experience. Not only go
That
to the
is
World
so cool.
Series, but we went all the way to the championship game.
Wow.
The last 3 years, and so
How
but
rewarding.
it is. It was just a rewarding time, and unfortunately, we lost in every single championship game. But to be
But you
able
got there.
to get there
Yeah.
is a great experience. And the kids forget about the game 5 minutes later. The parents are the ones that are all
Yeah,
upset.
yeah.
But it's just a fun experience, and so that's a little bit about me.
That's great. I know what you mean about the time passing. I feel like I just brought my son home and he just turned 22, and I'm like, I don't know when that happened. I don't know how it happened, but in a blink of an eye.
That's right.
It is fast.
It's just crazy, crazy fast. So why do you do what you do? What got you into financial, being a financial
Yeah.
advisor, and what's your passion behind that?
Yeah, Patty, that's a great question. There's really 3 reasons why I came into the industry, and that's I love relationships. 3 things that really make me tick in the morning, get me up in the morning: relationships, helping others, and being part of a team. I get to work with everybody from different facets of life. Yesterday, I was talking to my wife that we had a meeting with a hedge fund manager, and then the next hour later, I'm with an Oscar winner, and
Oh, wow.
you just get to
Fun.
experience that, and then walking alongside of people, helping them reach their objectives and what they're trying to accomplish, and being part of a team. You get to work alongside their financial advisor, you get to work alongside their mortgage advisor, their CPA, their estate attorney, and being part of that, of fulfillment on that. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're putting them in a better position,
Yeah.
and you're helping them to live a fuller life with financial peace of mind.
Yeah.
And that is just something that's so priceless when you're trying to, impact someone's life like that.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's
It's a great feeling, especially when you start at A and you end at Z. With that.
Yeah. And so many people need, the guidance, and it's overwhelming. When it comes to money, it's an overwhelming topic.
It is.
And for most, it's very uncomfortable. So unless you have that team that you can trust and know that someone's got your back, and they're going to tell you the truth, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes you have to deliver
fantastic that you-
not good news, and sometimes there is bad news.
Yeah, if
And
it's-
you've been in conversations, both those types of conversations, with individuals and clients.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jim, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why would somebody want to come to work for Sheeprock?
For Chief Brock?
Yes.
As an employee or as a
Yeah.
come work with us as a client?
As a client.
As a client?
yes.
Sure. Well, like I said, we work with both individual investors. We also work with advisors. One of the things that we do is we are active managers in the markets with particular equities. And so a client that would want to come work with Chief Brock would see us as a partner, just like you had mentioned. A lot of times in financial matters, you're looking for that partner to help to make decisions, maybe be a validation for what you're thinking, and maybe being like a ping pong board where we can go back and forth with ideas. We would help to build portfolios with clients, going through a very detailed inventory of what they already have, determining what their risk tolerances are, what their time frame and objectives are, and then really helping them understand themselves as an investor, which I think is probably one of the most important things you can do in investing. From there, help them build a strategic asset allocation, which sounds like a really fancy word, but it's a long-term allocation of investments that are within and across asset classes, where you might own some stocks and own some bonds and maybe have some money allocated toward cash, and really based on your risk tolerance, and so that you're comfortable, even though we may have volatility in the marketplace, you're comfortable with where those investments are going, and then maintain it moving forward. And that's where you'll find the way we are structured is a little bit unique and a little bit different than a lot of investment advisors out there. Although we are headquartered in Indianapolis, a client here in Southern California would have Ben as one of his contacts here locally to see face to face. Ben is also supported back in our headquarters by an associate portfolio consultant that is there every single day and available to from servicing of the accounts to administration of the accounts, and really there for anything that you may need. And then we have a number of portfolio managers that are with us as well that manage the actual strategies there in Indianapolis as well. But I can tell you what's really nice with Chief Brock that again is different from some of the larger organizations is you as a client, if you have a question on a specific strategy or a portfolio, you can go to Ben, you could go to the portfolio consultants that help work with Ben, or you can talk directly to some of our portfolio managers. And that is really different and unique in that you have that much access, and as you had alluded to, that much transparency in really what's going on in the account. So if you're looking for that type of partner, I think Chief Brock is a great place to look.
It's a very boutique organization, and I love the fact that, well, there's two things that I'm hearing you say that I really love. One is that you are big listeners. Mm-hmm. You ask lots of questions, and then you gather the data and then determine based on all these questions and answers what is best. And then the other thing is that the client has access to various people in the company, from portfolio managers to Ben, and if anything concerns them, anything that's scary, they can pick up the phone, have that conversation. And a lot of times, again, like we said, when it comes to money, it's a scary topic.
Sure.
And if they need some talking off the ledge,
yeah,
you're there to help them.
And let me just add to that a little bit. So the transparency is there, the access is there, but also we value really in a personalized relationship. I mean, so you have Ben here as to build a personal relationship, but our portfolio consultants back in Indianapolis as well, you'll get the same portfolio consultant every time you call back there. They're part of the triad, as I call it, with Ben and our portfolio consultant and the client, so that you really get to know each other. It's not that you're going to call up on some 800 line, get somebody that you don't know, They don't know your situation. We really pride ourselves, probably more than anything, on a personal relationship and really educating our clients, and so they can make the best decisions for themselves going forward.
That's great. I'm a big advocate of that. I mean, as a mortgage advisor working for somewhat of a boutique company versus going to a big bank, it's a whole different experience. Clients, it's a black and white experience for sure. So, Ben, tell us some stories. Well, first of all, let me have you share your information. If somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the best ways to reach me is on my cell phone, area code 661-678-1338, or you can reach me on my email, benw@sheafbrock.com.
Okay, spell Sheaf Brock for us.
SHEAFFBROCK.com.
Perfect. Okay. So tell us some stories. Give us some examples of some clients that you've worked with. And if you've got some examples of divorced women or women whose husbands has passed, or vice versa.
Yeah.
If you've got a husband that's wife's passed. What have you experienced with some of those?
Yeah, there's a range of being in the industry over 15 years. You have a bookshelf of stories. We could be here all day, all night talking about.
Okay, sure one.
But recently, I'll give you an example of a widow, a husband and wife, client of the firm. The husband passed away suddenly, and I get a call from the client, the spouse, and she's devastated and doesn't know what to do. Didn't know all of her assets. Didn't have an inventory of all of her assets. Didn't know where money was at. Didn't know if she had enough money. Even though her husband was ran a very successful owner of a very successful business, and she didn't know what to do. And being able to take a step back, first of all, to assure her that, number one, we're going to be able to get from a financial picture, clarity, but take a step back and get her to a point of greater stability, mentally, emotionally, physically. What was interesting was after you get through that, things change in her life.
Sure.
Risk tolerance were changing, income needs were changing. So we had to discuss those things, but we had to take a step back. And I think most importantly is to show empathy. That's a very tragic event.
Yes.
That whether an individual goes through a divorce or a loss of a loved one, of a spouse. And what was really interesting, even after we've gone through that, she called me up one day in the evening and she wanted to buy a car. And having to go through that with her, that number one, she didn't know if she had enough money to buy a car, and she had plenty of money to be able to purchase a car, and to sit down with her, understand why did she want to buy a car, what was the need for, and the need was basically for her children, or for her grandchildren, her 4 grandchildren that she wanted to be with, and take them places and have enough space in the car to be there.
It's a good reason for a new car.
Yeah. So, and being able to walk with her through that, to go pick a car out, go, and giving her a sense of empowerment, helping her walk her through, education process of everything, and navigating through that situation.
And as small as that might seem to some, that's a big step for somebody who's never done that before.
Yeah.
If the husband always took care of those types of transactions, walking into a car dealership, trying to negotiate, dealing with the finances, all that it's a scary.
No, it's a very scary thing.
Step for somebody. Yeah.
Always the anxious. She didn't know where anything was at. She didn't have an inventory of everything. I think that's really important to know where everything's at. Her trust. She didn't know anything of that nature, and so kind of going through that with her was a great experience.
Was huge. So even those folks that are listening that are happily married and everything is going wonderful, we never know when something's going to happen.
Never know.
We just never know. I actually was on a show just recently with another show here, and the guest was sharing that the husband was in the house, the wife went out to take the trash out.
Yeah.
Take the trash out. A pretty harmless event. She got hit by a car and was killed.
Yeah.
In front of her home, taking the trash out.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was just a random, crazy situation.
Yeah.
So my big, I shout from the rooftop, just like you said, have everything known, documented.
Yeah.
Both spouses should know where everything is, what account numbers,
Yes.
copies of statements. Put it in a piece of, in a folder. Have it somewhere where both of you know where it is.
Yes.
And it's just security.
Yeah.
You just never know. You just never know. So
Yeah.
very important. So Jim, let me ask you a question, and then I want to get into the. We're going to break. Okay. Didn't realize the time was passing. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Do you ever listen, but you're not really paying attention? Sort of like what you're doing to me right now. This is Alex Urbina, your advanced life coach specialist. One of the most frequent questions I hear is, what is a life coach? Well, tune in every Friday at noon to learn the value of having a coach and listen to a live coaching session on the radio. Right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hey guys, this is Cardinellis, host of the new show, Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the latest political happenings, both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we have both Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians hash out their differences on air as we strive to find solutions to today's challenges. Join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for Problem Solver Politics.
Woodward Kitchen and Bath started in 1988 with my husband and myself as a mom and pop shop.
Lisa Woodward.
We started off with my husband and myself. We've grown from being a cabinet shop to being a full one-stop shop, so we can do the whole turnkey project.
Let Woodward Kitchen and Bath transform your Santa Clarita home.
We do everything in-house, can supply everything, and it's the same person you'll be working with from the start of your project to the end. That's what makes us more special than somebody else down the street.
Woodward Kitchen and Bath, woodwardkb.com.
Don't let the mortgage process scare you. Patti Handy is a senior mortgage advisor with American Family Funding. With over 15 years' experience, she's a 4-time author with a passion to empower and educate her clients. As a certified life coach, she has a unique way of understanding your complete story to best serve you. Her team at American Family Funding is like no other, with the compassion and attention to every detail to close your escrow on time. Contact her at pattyhandy.com. That's Patty with an I, handy.com.
Ladies, and any men listening too, what are the 2 things you need in an investment partner? Control and confidence. You need a partner that gives you control and confidence when investing your money. Sheeprock is that partner. They're a team of experienced money managers offering custom solutions to help meet your financial goals. And Sheeprock's people work with you, answering your questions and providing guidance. Face it, you're not an investment guru. That's what you have people like Sheeprock for. Contact Ben Witters at sheeprock.com, SHEAFF Brock.com.
There's only one Santa Clarita florist that mixes in classic designs with a touch of the wild. Wild at Heart Florist. Each arrangement is a piece of art, individually designed for you. They focus on your taste, providing the freshest flowers, custom selected from local vendors. Wild at Heart Florist. Weddings, special events, or just an I love you. See the difference at wildatheartflorist.com. Classic designs with a touch of the wild. wildatheartflorist.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
You're listening to Starting Over with Patti Handy, Senior Mortgage Advisor with American Family Funding. Patti's show will focus on healing, inspiring, and empowering anyone going through a divorce or a loss of a spouse. They're talking about everything from money and managing finances, legal issues, emotional healing, physical well-being, and so much more.
I'll be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when
Welcome
it's
back to Starting Over. I'm your host, Patti Handy. In studio today, I have Ben Witters, Vice President, and Jim Murphy, Director, National Sales Manager of Sheaf Brock Investment Advisors. We had to go quickly to break. I wasn't paying attention, so I apologize for that. This is the life not paying attention. So, Ben, we talked a little bit at break about some of the ideas I'd love to share with those who are going through divorce, freshly divorced, lost a spouse. They're probably very scared. They're somewhat at a loss as to what to do, whether they have a little money, a lot of money, the gambit. What are some of the things that you, as an investment advisor, that conversation, what does that look like when you're talking to that type of client?
When you're talking to that type of a client who's just recently going through a divorce, that's a tragic event of what they're going through. And it is important for the advisor first to be that safe harbor place for them. Number one, to reassure them that you're going to get through, to take a look at their financial situation, take an inventory of what's going on and what they have. And the other thing is take a step back and really empathy with this individual. As I mentioned before, there could be damage that could happen, emotionally, physically. You want to be able to bring in, do they have a good support group to go through? What is the situation? Is there children involved? Is there not children involved? Because all those things are going to change in their financial picture, and bringing in their estate attorney. If there's a trust, and it's going to be wise that they get a trust eventually. But first and foremost is to get them to a greater stability in their life, so that way they can make decisions. Because I would imagine that if I were to ask, right when you're going through that, what is your favorite color? It'd be very difficult to answer that.
Yes.
Because there's so much emotions going through your mind and going through you.
Yep.
That's very difficult to make a wise choice.
Yeah.
And you really kind of need to bring them back to that. So I think that's the first and important thing, and to reassure them that you're going to walk with them and get their financial picture situation in order. If there's kids involved, you want to redo the trust. There's probably going to have to be redo trust. So you're going to have to bring in, if the client doesn't have an estate attorney, you bring in that estate attorney to help be that support, that we're all going to be on the same page for the client and getting them moving in the right direction. God forbid something happens to you, all of a sudden you're walking down the street and you pass away. Something happens to you. Well, now what are you going to do with your children? You're going to make sure that is set.
Yeah.
So that way they go where you want them to go, into the right hands, for lack of a better word.
Let me speak to that for one quick second. One of the first things I did after my divorce was get an estate plan, a living trust set up, because my son was 18 months old and he didn't have a voice and didn't have any say in anything, and I wanted to make sure that everything was absolutely dialed in as far as the details of everything.
Yes.
And it brought me a huge sense of peace knowing that was in place, because if something did happen to me,
Yeah.
I wanted him to be protected. So yes, I totally agree with that piece.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I tell clients for a trust. It's kind of, you put everything you own inside this bucket, and you carry this bucket wherever you go. And at the point of when you need to give it away, you just give it to the right person.
Yeah.
And it continues to go on. And the other situation you have to take a look at is, does a spouse need to go back into the workforce? Do you need to go back? What is that going to look like? To be able to support yourself, to be able to support your kids. So there's all kinds of different dynamics that are going on, and you need to walk through that, piece by piece, through those financial decisions, creating a new budget. What is the budget going to look like? How much cash should we always keep on hand? So there's a number of different things. And I don't think you want to overload at all. You just want to take it one item at a time, because they're not able to make decisions on everything right away.
The bandwidth is definitely limited.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where I would say, come alongside as an advisor with a client who is going through a divorce.
So I'm hearing you say as well that there are no big financial decisions made. You're not going to take that portfolio and do something when this person is trying to figure out life.
No.
You're just trying to get her back on course, him back on course.
Yes.
And get some healing, and then plan a little blueprint, if you like a better words.
And as I always say when clients are making a plan, write it in pencil, because things change all the time. And write it in pencil and keep the eraser on hand.
Yeah.
It is also the risk tolerance. There's probably a different risk tolerance between the husband and the client,
right?
And so things are going to need to change there, because there's always I'm willing to take risks and an ability to take risk, and those are two different things.
Yeah.
And so one may be willing to, but their ability ability to is too different.
Would not be a good decision,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's where you are there as far as guidance.
Yes.
With, okay, this is
You're just navigating them through the process
right,
and not overloading
right.
them.
And the age of their kids is going to have an impact. If they've got 2-year-olds or 22-year-olds,
Yeah.
it's going to be a different ballpark,
Correct.
a different ball game, and different plan
Yeah.
that's going to be in place. So the good thing here again with dealing with Sheep Brock and the boutique firm that you are is you have that very close relationship. You have you're not just the financial advisor.
Yeah.
You're the life coach. You're the therapist. There's a lot of roles that you play.
There's a lot of hats we wear.
And in that, because you're dealing with somebody who is in a bad place, dealing with overwhelm, and the last thing you want to do is fire hose them with, oh no, you should be doing this product or that product. It's like
Yeah.
So I love that philosophy.
We're very sensitive to that. As a matter of fact, Ben and his colleagues around the country have gone through over 150 hours of life coaching training. And so they are, as you mentioned, very sensitive to that, and I think that's part of the boutique
I love that.
approach that we can go with. And, right on the heels of what you're talking about, and I love what you said there, Patty, that there's no quick knee-jerk reactions when someone's going through a life cycle change. And reminds me of a story, if we have time to share it or not.
Yep.
It was I get the opportunity to travel around the country and hear a lot of different stories like this. And one was a widow that came to us, or she had just been widowed. Her husband had been a long-time executive, very loyal executive of a large corporation. So as you can imagine, upon his passing, she received a very concentrated position in that particular stock of that particular company. Now, as a professional advisor and a money manager, there's such a thing as a concentrated position. And generally, we look at a concentrated position would be anything of 15 to 20, 25% of the overall portfolio. 100% of her portfolio was this one stock.
Ouch.
So, yeah, quite a bit of risk there on the table.
Yes.
But here's the interesting thing, and kind of what you said, where you don't want a knee-jerk reaction. You got to balance the emotions with the practicality. And so she was very emotional over holding on to the stock. It represented her husband. 35 years he spent with that corporation. That corporation, their income and what they earned there put a roof over their head. It put their 3 kids through college, put food on the table. And he was gone physically, but that stock and that company still represented him to her. So we were very sensitive to that. But on the same token, boy, you've got a concentrated position here. It does represent risk. So fortunately, we're able, because we are very personalized and we do customized portfolios, we were able to put on a strategy that actually protected her downside, but didn't limit her upside. And that gave us enough time, to your point, no knee-jerk reactions, gave us enough time for some of the healing to come through, manage the emotions she had with that particular stock, and over time unwind it to the point where she could have a diversified portfolio, and then establish that portfolio for her risk tolerance and her time frame and her objectives. So the ultimate outcome was a good, solid portfolio for her, but also managing it through the emotions that she had to handle.
And I can see how that company had a very place in her heart. Just it's her husband's connection, I guess. And so I could see the delicate wire you were balancing with that. Jim, what do you think, generally speaking, the state of the economy? There's lots of volatility that's going on. Speak to that for a minute.
There's a lot going on. Well, we continue to be very constructive on the markets. We've been in a bull market now for the better part of 9 years. Started March 9th of 2009. So we continue to think that the underpinnings in the economy, whether you're looking at earnings of corporations, or you're looking at the leading economic indicators, or even the yield curve where it stands at this point, still point to a bullish market as we move forward. Now, notwithstanding, we are going to see some volatility. Ultimately, the market climbs what we like to call the wall of worry. And every one of those bricks that go into that wall are things like worries about inflation, recession, geopolitical issues, the threat of nuclear war, terrorism. All these things are in investors' minds, and they're very concerned. But yet the market can continue to grow and to move along that wall of worry. It's interesting, John Templeton, you may be familiar with John Templeton, but he's a longtime money manager and one of the icons in our business. He used to say that a bull market has a life cycle, and it's born out of pessimism. It grows through skepticism. It matures through optimism, and it dies in euphoria. So that's an interesting cycle, as he said
Very
it.
interesting.
And so you've got to kind of ask yourself as an investor, where are we in that cycle? I'm not sure we're at euphoria. You know, we might, some of us in this room probably remember the 1990s and the bull market through the 1990s and the dot-com bubble bust in 2000, 2001. That was euphoria, if you remember. We kind of joked earlier this morning. We were having breakfast with a client, Ben and I, and we said, when you go to your favorite coffee shop and the person behind the counter is giving you stock tips, you know you're probably at euphoria. So fortunately, we didn't get any stock tips this morning.
Or you're just throwing a dart at the
Or throwing a
newspaper.
dart at, right.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Ben, and maybe you can weigh on this because you're working with clients every single day, but I think, you know, if you looked at that cycle, probably in the area of skepticism, this is, you know, it's the experts all say this is the bull market that everybody loves to hate. And generally that's probably a good sign because that's still in that skepticism mode where the market, we think, will continue to move forward. Now, that's notwithstanding, we probably have some things on the horizon here that the market's starting to discount. As you well know, the stock market is a discounting mechanism. It generally looks out 6 to 9 months. One thing that's on a lot of investors' minds right now are the midterm elections. And those are coming up. And we did a little research on that and look back, and you'll find this interesting. But it's not atypical to have significant volatility leading up to the midterms. As a matter of fact, going back to about the mid-1950s, the average correction going up into the midterms is about 18%.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty significant in the stock market. Now, the good news is it's an inflection point. And we see it actually as a buying opportunity. And because when you look at then the following 12 months, following the midterm election, this is going back to 1960, the trailing 12 months after that, after the midterm election, the markets have averaged 15.3% on the upside. So, you know, if you have money, you know, right now we see that if you have money set aside, or you're kind of wondering, and I know, Ben, you talk to a lot of clients, and when should I invest, when should I get in? We do see this as somewhat of a buying opportunity moving forward. And you can go back to 1946. And the 12 months following midterm elections, the S&P 500 hasn't ever declined. So interesting, you know, history, of course, is not a guarantee of the future.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen, but sometimes it can be somewhat of a guide. But we find that interesting from a historical perspective on something that's probably right there, a brick in the wall of worry that our investors' minds today.
Right.
So,
and I would imagine, based on what I'm hearing, you guys tee up to your clients the conversation of, you know, when the market tanks 300 points in a day and you get those calls of panic, you know, yes, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
And you
it's
just
not a
take them back
surprise.
to their original objective of the portfolio, and that's where we go back to the ability to take risks and the willingness to take risk inside of a portfolio. And everything begins with the conversation up front. You know, understanding what the client's objectives are, what are their needs, and once that we've defined that, once that we understand that, then we can go back and tailor the portfolio specifically to those objectives, to meet those objectives.
Whether it's short-term, long-term, midterm,
Yeah, and there's
whatever
always going to be there's short-term needs, there's midterm needs, and there's long-term needs, and so you're going to position the portfolio in buckets to be able to address that.
Okay.
and I think, as you said, Ben, the important thing is once you go through that, you know, understanding yourself as an investor and you understand your risk tolerances, we build the portfolio that I like to say is four-wheel drive, and it's durable. And so even though you do have that volatility of maybe a 300-point day, we're really managing your risk and not really managing the return. And I think that's the important thing to remember, is that we build a portfolio to withstand that over the long term to ultimately meet your objectives.
Over the long term is the key answer
Yes.
there. We're going to go to break in a minute here, but let me give you one more opportunity to share your information again, your contact information for those that might have just tuned in.
Yeah, Ben Witters, cell number 661-678-1338 is the best number you can reach me at, and or you can reach me by email at benw@sheafbrock, which is spelled SHEAFFBROCK.com.
That's a hard one to hear, so it's a good thing
Yes.
that you're spelling it out.
Yes.
That's excellent.
true.
So we're going to come back in about a minute. Again, you're listening to Starting Over with Patti Handy. If you want to call in or comment in Facebook Live, we can absolutely help you. We're going to come back from break, and then we're going to have another question for you. We're going to wrap it up, so stay with us.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a nonprofit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Who says nothing good happens after midnight? Denny's is best known for their breakfast served round the clock, like the Grand Slam. But you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a casual atmosphere 24/7. At Denny's, the lunch and dinner menu has a variety of appetizers, craveable burgers, salads, and entrees, along with the best desserts in town. Wherever you live in Santa Clarita, there's a Denny's close by. If you're pulling an all-nighter or don't feel like cooking, get into Denny's today. Good stuff is happening at Denny's.
Hi, this is Dr. Palucki. If you want to get better results with less supplements, then listen to this. For convenient on-the-go nutrition, an excellent workout recovery, and an absolute must for any diet, you can't beat Dr. Palucki's Cleanse Support. And of course, we made it gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, with no artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. At only 70 calories per serving and packed with over 50 superfoods, this delicious shake will be the best thing you eat all day. Now available at drpalucki.com.
Patti Handy, host of Starting Over with Patti Handy, has written several books that speak to her audience. Money Rules 101, Master Your Money Before It Masters You, is designed for anyone seeking financial peace of mind, for themselves as a parent or their young adult children. In an entertaining and highly readable approach, Patti covers many topics, including the money mindset, debit and credit cards, understanding credit scores, entrepreneurship, spending wisely, secrets of savings, investing, buying a home, and most importantly, giving back. A must-read for anyone.
Ladies, and any men listening too, what are the two things you need in an investment partner? Control and confidence. You need a partner that gives you control and confidence when investing your money. Sheeprock is that partner. They're a team of experienced money managers offering custom solutions to help meet your financial goals. And Sheeprock's people will work with you, answering your questions and providing guidance. Face it, you're not an investment guru. That's what you have people like Sheeprock for. Contact Ben Witters at sheeprock.com. SHEAFF Brock.com.
Patti Handy, host of Starting Over with Patti Handy, has written several books that speak to her audience. 50 Ways to Flourish After Divorce. Divorce can be one of the most painful experiences in life. Having someone who understands the pain and loss can help in the healing process. This book shares powerful tips to help you not only survive divorce, but thrive. Getting through the day can take every bit of energy. This book was purposely written in short, easy-to-read segments. Start the healing process and move toward a life of happiness and joy once again.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. Partly cloudy today, a high of 89. Clear overnight with a low of 63. More sun tomorrow with a high of 91. Don't miss out. Get your tickets to Diamond Rio at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, College of the Canyons, Saturday, June 30th at 7 p.m. with special guest Savannah Burrows. Tickets are on sale now. Visit canyonspac.com. That's canyonspac.com.
You're listening to Starting Over with Patti Handy, Senior Mortgage Advisor with American Family Funding. Patti's show will focus on healing, inspiring, and empowering anyone going through a divorce or a loss of a spouse. They're talking about everything from money and managing finances, legal issues, emotional healing, physical well-being, and so much more.
I'll be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle, I'm a soldier.
Welcome back to Starting Over. I'm your host, Patti Handy. In studio today, I have Ben Witters, Vice President, and Jim Murphy, Director and National Sales Manager of Sheaf Brock Investment Advisors. We're talking about finances, divorce, loss of a spouse, getting back on track, just trying to bring financial peace of mind for those that are listening. So let's start with a question for, I guess, both of you. I'll let you answer first, Jim.
Sure.
If I were to become a client, somebody who's listening and they wanted to reach out to you, tell me what that onboarding process looks like.
Sure. Well, I think, first and foremost, we'd want to introduce you to the team. As we talked about at the outset, we have our local representative out here, like Ben Witters, as well as the folks that would help manage your account and get to know you back in Indianapolis in our headquarters. So first and foremost, introducing you to the team, and then really getting to know you. through a series of different meetings, trying to understand where you want to go with the money, where is your, what it might be earmarked for, understanding your risk preferences, your objectives, your time frames, really going through that so that we can ensure that we are acting in our fiduciary capacity to do what's right for you, and as well make sure that we're building portfolios that are suitable for your risk tolerance. Through that, then we'll, in a sharing type dialogue, we work with you in building that customized portfolio. Once that's up and running, you're going to have access, as we said earlier, to our portfolio managers. If you have questions on the particular strategies, you can also meet with Ben at any time that's important to you, as well as you have our portfolio consultants that will meet with you on a regular basis. One thing that we do pride ourselves on at Sheaf Brock is building a culture of education for our clients, so they can learn about the markets as well, whether you're a novice or an expert. We have a number of what we like to call knowledge builder series, and they're just knowledge builders where we bring on our portfolio managers or other experts in their field to share a little bit about what they do, and they're no more than maybe 20 to 25 minutes. We do them live, but then we also archive them on our website so that you can go there and on demand you could kind of look through the library and see what you might be interested in. If you're interested in learning about real estate investment trusts or about the stock market or about options or whatever the case may be, they're there for you to learn as well. And then from there, we do get out into some of our portfolio managers on a regular basis. We'll come out to the different parts of the country, and we'll host a get to know the portfolio manager and give a market economic update as well. So it's a pretty rich experience when you think about all the different ways that investors can have access to us and work with us going forward. But we really see it as a partnership, and I think that's what we said at the outset as well. It's important that we're equal in this experience and in this voyage.
Yeah, I really love the education piece. That's really a huge component to bringing peace to people who aren't comfortable with this topic, and the fact that they have that access is great.
Yeah, and everything, as Jim mentioned, everything I like to say is everything begins over a cup of coffee, just a conversation. As many people say, well, just kind of a discovery time. It's kind of like I barely first started dating my wife. It's a discovery stage. Are we right for each other? Type of thing.
You just can't say, marry me.
Yeah, I tried that. She said no. But no, everything begins with a discovery. Everything begins with a conversation, understanding the client, understanding what is going on. It's almost like I split I always kind of began with the yellow pad. I'm a yellow pad guy, so I almost kind of split the page in half, and you have your important stuff, which is your inventory of your assets and what is going on, creating a plan, and then on the other half you have what's important. And understanding what is important. Some may want to leave a legacy. Some may be starting over. Some may just be beginning. And once you understand that, then, as mentioned, I can go back to my team and our portfolio managers. Hey, this is a situation, and then we begin to tailor a portfolio specifically to that client of what their needs are. Then we go back to presentation. And we sit down with the client, kind of going through, based upon our last conversation, this is what it was important to you, this is what was going on, and then presenting to them, this is how we're going to navigate through the situation or through the financial picture. I think it's important too that when we meet with those clients, I like to meet with their clients every quarter, at least have a conversation, face-to-face meeting. It gives me a good opportunity. The quarter just ended, to sit down and say what's going on, kind of give them the high level attack, and then discuss it, how it relates to them. And there, I was telling someone the other day, there's a buy and hold philosophy. There's just not a buy, hold, and forget philosophy where you never ever want to leave a portfolio on autopilot.
Absolutely.
And you need to make adjustments based upon the economic conditions that we're facing. So our portfolio managers are looking at that on a daily basis, and then relaying that. Now, all this information, how does this really get back to the client. It goes back to their needs, to their objectives, what they're trying to accomplish, and on a continuous basis, meeting with the client, whether it's myself or whether it's our portfolio consultant Seth, having those conversations with our clients. So it's really important that they can always get a hold of us, and then go from there.
So when you have an older client, perhaps one that's lost a husband and they're older with adult children, do you incorporate the adult children in that conversation?
Yes, that's a great question, if you don't mind. You know, with the client, that the example that I gave her earlier, where she lost her husband, you know, I had to bring the children involved in the situation. One, they're going to be the heirs of the assets, and you want to begin to develop that and understand that situation. And some clients don't like that. Some clients don't want to bring their children involved, and some do. So it's a case by case.
But if they do, you're welcome to have that.
Yes,
they're welcome to do that.
Yes, we would encourage that.
That's important. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. All right, we're down to a minute left. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for coming. Again, I appreciate your sponsorship in the show. Again, you've been able to allow us to be on twice per month. So again, Ben Witters and Jim Murphy with Sheaf Brock Investments. Their information will be on the KHTS website, so you can reach out to them that way or reach out to me personally. You're listening to Starting Over with Patti Handy on KHTS, your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Open and never shut, and the end is necessary, cause I'm never giving up. See, they ask me how I did it, I just did it.